see, if you take a look at this patient, we were able to actually get this done with one single combination session. We saw her again over the course of, I believe, we saw her in April, we saw her in April 2023, and then I saw her again in December. And you can take a look and see, look at that significant improvement of her skin just with that single combination session. It's really, really great to be able to see this, because this is something that I see a lot of times. Patients actually ask me over and over, how long does it take to see results? Sometimes it can really take this long. Sometimes it's a lot slower than you may think. But in this case, it was someone that actually she had said that she was pretty happy, like, a month or so later, and then she found though that it got better 6 months later, and like, a month or so later, and then she found though that it got better 6 months later, and then it got better even a year later. She came all the way from Atlanta, Georgia, and so I hadn't seen her in a while. And if you look at this, it's like you could see that significant improvement over here for her skin. And it's pretty awesome, because this is also a patient where we had done subcision on her, and she was told originally also that there wasn't too much that you could do with subcision, but that's actually one of the big things. There's so much scar tissue underneath there. A lot of people seem to think that you don't do subcision for these boxcar scars, but you absolutely can do it. If you do it in the right patient, you absolutely can do it for that. It's all about just making sure that it makes sense. In this case, these were thick scars. You could tell actually it was weighing down the skin. There's this huge complex really of scar tissue as well over here. You can see that where it's really, really thick around there. You can see it's like almost like this mound over there of scar tissue. And we improved that a lot with subcision. We did laser resurfacing. In this case, I did ablative CO2 laser, TCA Cross. I also did excisions as well for this patient. So it took a few steps really to get that result. But it's pretty nice, because this is, again, a patient who came all the way from Atlanta, Georgia, and I hadn't seen her in a long time, really for more than a year and a half later. So it's, you can see like that kind of that journey over time as that skin got better and better. Really cool. Really, really happy with this. She was somebody that I was actually, we had reached out back to her. Really, really happy with this. She was somebody that I was actually, we had reached out back to her because we were using her for where I wanted to use her for a subcision study that we're doing. And she originally wasn't even letting us share her photos or anything, so we didn't get like the full like journey, the full things with the video. But she loved her results so much. So when she came in again, we got that this photo here, which is really, really nice. And she let us share now. She's just like, she's so happy with her result, and then she's gonna do more things. Although, like, she's all the way from Atlanta, and she said that she's pretty happy with where it's at right now. So we'll see. I think there's still room, of course. When she came in this day, I ended up doing. She came in here in December 2024, so a few months ago. I ended up doing some more TCA Cross, and I actually did do more ablative CO2 laser in the middle parts of the cheek there. And so hopefully I'll get to see her again, maybe another year later or so, and then we can see like an updated photo, so you can see like that full progression. That'll be really cool there. For scarring like this, do you recommend a peel, and what type? You could do a peel. She's a patient with melasma, though. She's a darker skin type. So we have to be careful with that. She's not somebody that I recommended it for, because she is darker skin type. She's in Atlanta. She does go outside a lot. And, she was worried about pigmentation. We didn't end up causing pigmentation issues for her. But if we ended up doing something like, for example, she could have been a candidate for a phenol peel. It's true. But in this case, with her pigmentation, like she was worried about, and she didn't want to have that kind of long downtime of hyperpigmentation. So we were able to get this. And when you do the phenol peel, you really do have to stay here for several days as well. Whereas with these kind of treatments, usually you could actually fly out the same day if you want to. So how is it? Who is young Guapo? Appreciate you always coming on. Thank you so much. So where was it at? Lily's saying, can't wait to see you, Doc. I have very bad acne scars. Look forward to treating you, Lily. What kind of scars do you have? Raquel is saying, do you work in African American skin? Yeah, absolutely. I do a lot with that. Actually, it was interesting. I think she's going to let us share her results. I believe so, actually. I have a patient who, she comes also actually from Atlanta, now that I think about it. And she's an African-American patient. She had very, very thick scars, actually. And I saw her today. I was a 1.5 months late. She had very, very thick scars, actually. And I saw her today. I was a 1.5 months later. And I actually did do a bit of ablative CO2 on her because she had very, very thick scars. And I worked a lot later. And I actually did do a bit of ablative CO2 on her because she had very, very thick scars. And I worked a lot on the center part of her, the mid cheek area. And she was okay with the downtime, okay with the recovery. I had a long talk with her because it really could cause pigmentation issues. But she was just like, she's been suffering from the scars for so long. She let me, she was okay with pigmentation. 1.5 months later, she has 0 hyperpigmentation around that areas. Really, really nice, actually. No hypo, no loss of pigmentation, no hyperpigmentation. She said that she was just really religious with sunblock, really, really good with not going outside. So we absolutely can do it, and I can just tweak it. Not, of course, for most patients of African skin tone, I won't necessarily be using like high heat, high energy. But in some cases, some rare cases, it is very, very thick still, and we may need to do an ablative CO2 or a fraction of CO2, something with a little bit more heat. It's just that we have to be really careful with your skin, of course, and I do it by being very, very precise. That's how I do it there. Hi, Camila. How's it going? You're okay if you're late a little bit. I came on like 3 minutes late, too, so it's okay. Hi, Mrs. Jones. How's it going? Good seeing you on. Looks great. Do you know her skincare? Well, it was mostly what I recommended, which was the pigmentation cream. I don't know what she did afterwards, though, because I know she probably ran out of that, though. I have to double check to see what we ended up doing. I believe I probably put her on just a low dose of tretinoin tomorrow. A low dose of tretinoin afterwards, too, but I got to double check. I can't remember offhand. I usually don't do too much more with like other skincare products, to be honest with you. Let's see. Ganesh is saying, Doctor, I'm doing treatments for scars. I've done 2 microneedling radio frequencies, but I don't see any results. Please help me. I'll be happy to help you. Just schedule a consultation. We'll be happy to help you with that. Radio frequency microneedling, over and over, I see that. I see people saying that that they were told to do radio frequency microneedling. And one of my patients today, she said that she went to so many different consultations and they all recommended Morpheus 8. And why am I recommending something different? And it's because it doesn't work, as well. This is like, these are real results. You can see there's significant improvement over here. And if you ended up doing radio frequency microneedling for treatments like this, you actually could get fat loss, and we need fat. We need that fat to support the skin. So if you lose that fat, you lose the volume, you could actually end up getting your scars to look worse because you lost that volume. So that would be a really, a big concern. What do I think of punch excision? So this is actually with punch excision as well. I did multiple excisions on this case for this patient, and this is a year and a half later. And so this is a really, really nice journey for this patient. Really, really beautiful. Hi, thank you so much, Sailor Moon. Good seeing you on too. This is an awesome process, really. When you actually look at this, if you look at this really properly, it's really, really thick. You see how thick that is? And that was something that even if you used multiple fractionated CO2 lasers, you're not going to be able to achieve the result that we were able to achieve because we had to literally cut that down. And I was able to do it. Really, it was really, really nice. Part of it was though because there was so much scar tissue underneath. There was so much tethering and breaking. I actually remember I used multiple different techniques to really break up her scar tissue. I remember her case very, very well because of how thick her scars were. It was basically just like every aspect of it was like, I guess it's tough for me to explain, but it was, but essentially it's almost like cutting through styrofoam or something like that. It was just like really thick, and we had to break that there originally. Like you could hear it crumpling like that. Styrofoam, I guess, is softer, but like it was like just like punching, I should say. And it was like just like constantly breaking it up, and I still felt it was really stuck. So it was surprising actually. I didn't expect it to be that thick and that stuck there. So awesome, we got that there. How much were treatments totals for this? I can't say offhand how each individual spends because also it's like, this was also 2.5 years ago or so when we started her journey. But most people spend about $5,000 to $7,000 on their scars, so about that price. Are you able to give an estimate over the phone before a consult? Well, we do virtual consultations. Just go to my page, drqazi.com. We'll be happy to help you with a virtual consultation. And then, yes, we will give you the price point with that then. Do lasers work? They do. They're a part of this, but it wasn't the main thing. It wasn't the only thing. I had to do a lot of manual things. I did excisions. I did subcision. So excision meaning I literally physically took out the scar tissue. I did excisions where I went inside and broke up the scar tissue. And then we did ablative CO2 laser. We did TCA Cross as well. And actually, in her case, I did actually inject a bit of Sculptra for her. Sorry, it may have been Radiesse. I got to double check offhand because I don't want to misspeak. But one of those collagen stimulating products. She did not opt to do Bellafill at that time, although when she came in this time, we ended up doing some more Bellafill for her. Some Bellafill for her. So she's going to get even better results. Hopefully at some point I'll see her again. Although I followed up with her, she's really happy in life. So we'll see if she shows up again. And you can see that full process. What does Moxy laser do? Moxy is really going to be relatively superficial for more superficial pigmentation and skin texture. There's a lot of different options though. You don't necessarily have to do Moxy. There's multiple different things out there. Faraz is saying, can you use Sculptra or fillers after subcision? If yes, how long after the procedure? Yeah, absolutely you could do. Sometimes you could do it the same day depending on the location. If it's like basically on the cheekbone area, I probably will be able to do it the same day. But below the cheekbone area, a lot of times I actually won't. I'll probably say that we have to do that another day. And we absolutely do that combined. Are chemical peels a good option? Again, those are potentially an option if you're talking about something like the Phenol peel, but that's going to be a lot more downtime, a lot more recovery. If you're talking about just like a lighter peel, likely not going to help enough, to be honest with you. Hi, Shireen, by the way. How's it going? I see your name on there. Thank you so much for coming on. Lauren Desiree is saying, I burned my stomach. It hasn't faded after 6 months. What can I do before laser? You could try 4% hydroquinone. Consider doing that. That's probably a good idea for you if you really have true hyperpigmentation, or you could do something called Triluma, which is a triple cream. You could try that as well. Or if you want something that's just over the counter, you could try Eucerin's anti-pigment cream. Hi, Shireen. How's it going? Do you treat shallow pitted acne scars without doing subcision? Yeah, absolutely. One of my patients today, she's of Asian descent. Her lateral cheeks really smooth. I didn't do any subcision for her. She just has a few remaining scars in the mid cheek. It's going to be really, really amazing. So yeah, absolutely, we do it all the time. Growling Panther says, I have extreme hyperpigmentation and ice pick scars. I've been seeing your content lately, but yes, I could definitely help you with both of those. Ice pick scars, hyperpigmentation. You know, what's interesting is that ice pick scars could look a lot worse with hyperpigmentation. So we're going to solve both of those, really. Good seeing you too, Tareen. Good seeing you on. It's always good to see you and your family. Eileen is saying, what about just regular hyperpigmentation? I had a chemical burn on my underarm. Well, it depends on how long after it was with that chemical burn. But again, really similar type of process. If it's hyperpigmented, you can consider trying Eucerin's anti-pigment cream. If that's not working, consider trying, really Triluma cream is probably a good option. Otherwise, really do Pico laser. It works very, very well for that. So it depends on really what's happening there. How pigmented it is, what you tried. What are your thoughts on beef tallow? I'm actually going to try it. I'm going to try it now. So I will give you guys a shot. We'll see. I hope it doesn't break me out, though. That's the only thing. I was hoping. I'm going to try it, though. I would think I'll do it. I think I'll do it like this week or so. I'll give you the verdict maybe in a few weeks to see what's going on with beef tallow. You guys can see. Let me know if my skin's looking better or not. You can let me know. Those people are like my regular patients, too. They can tell me. I'll let you know when I start that. I was actually originally going to do a laser, and I didn't have time. So I'm like, you know what? I won't like mix up the laser stuff anyway. So then I'll just do the beef tallow, like my own face as a study. I'll see what happens with it. If you have like a brand that you think I should try, let me know. I'll try it. I'll try it out. I will see what's going on with it and see if it's going to be a problem for patients for recovery, things like that. I'm open to it. You know, we'll see. It's got some vitamin A in there too, which is good. What treatment did this patient get? She did excisions where we took out the scar, physically literally took it out. We did TCA Cross. We did subcision, went underneath the scar tissue and broke it up. We did also CO2 laser, erbium laser. So we did a few steps really here to get this kind of result. We also injected some volume for her Sculptra or Radiesse. Let's see, your travel blog said, I heard the TCA Cross makes the acne scars bigger. Is that true? It shouldn't stay bigger like that. No, I'm very, very precise with it. So that's really not something that I'm particularly worried about. Does CO2 laser help with pores? Not so much, really. Pores, a lot of times, is more like oil production. That's really what ends up happening, is that it ends up actually sometimes making the pores look a little bit more dilated. So controlling your oil is going to be really critical, and that takes a lot more with like vitamin A, topical things like that. Maybe consider that really for pores. And really, it's more of a process that like it's an ongoing struggle. You're going to always have to do something to really control that oil production. So sometimes people will notice that like with the Accure laser, which normalizes acne and oil production, that they do see that their pore size reduces as well. What do you suggest for ice pick scars? Well, TCA Cross, biggest thing I do all day long is TCA Cross for ice pick and boxcar scars. Sometimes excisions as well, depending on how deep and wide the scars are too. But those are probably the best options there. What do you think of microneedling for these scars? So she tried that. She tried a bunch of stuff. She came all the way from Atlanta, Georgia, and did so many different treatments before. That did not work for her. Do you recommend Morpheus 8 for acne scars? No, I don't. I think actually it may cause a lot of problems, because if you really are using a lot of heat for the scars, you could cause fat loss. So I would not recommend it actually for acne scars. I have it for like other purposes, for skin tightening. I'm open to like all the radiofrequency microneedling devices more for skin tightening purposes, just overall like helping a bit with that, but I wouldn't recommend it for acne scars. Lena's saying, can you help with treating enlarged pores? So controlling oil, something like the Accure laser helps with that, but it depends on if you have a lot of oil production. Otherwise, you could do something like topical tretinoin, some sort of topical retinoid, I should say. Even you could pick up different cream. Just try helping, pick up different cream over the counter. Those are all good options there to help reduce the oil production. The SD is saying, what do you recommend for transient redness from TCA Cross? That's normal. You just keep it. Just moisturize, sunblock, and it should go away. Gusan Real Face is saying, Doctor, how many months does it take to see results after microneedling treatment? I've done 3 sessions with PRP. Still, the results are not good. Well, I think that's they're probably doing the wrong treatment for your scars. It's likely that microneedling is not going to help much for your scars. Self-Made is saying, I have acne scars. What products should I use? You really should use things that are going to control and manage your oil. So things like topical retinoids. You could try to do something like over the counter, get different cream. It should help a little bit with sometimes reducing the diameter of the scar, but a lot of times it's not going to be like a topical treatment, to be honest with you. El Typico is saying, like, how much for a treatment like the one above? Most patients spend about $5,000 to $7,000, but if they need more volume replacement, it could cost a lot more. So it depends on how much volume replacements are. Thoughts on spironolactone for acne? I love spironolactone for acne. It's really, of course, for women though, because otherwise it could cause enlarged breasts for men, and that could be a problem. Otherwise, for women, it's an excellent option. Excellent option. I think that it's kind of underutilized. What do you think of oxymetazoline for PIE? It's just going to be more of like a temporary option, not something that you would really recommend. If you have you need a quick fix, you could do that, but definitely not something that I would recommend for long-term solutions. You could maybe try something like azelaic acid, like 10% azelaic acid. Well, a lot of times it does need a laser like XLV if it's really stubborn. Mrs. Jones is asking, what kind of scars are these? These are actually a combination of boxcar scars, ice pick scars, and some rolling scars. You can see the rolling scars a bit better when she smiles. It's Christy. What about the side effects of spironolactone? Well, the side effects are pretty minimal, actually, for the vast majority of people, unless you're on other medications that are going to raise your potassium level, or if you're somebody with historically low blood pressure. Otherwise, it's actually an excellent medication. In fact, it's cardioprotective as well. There's aspects really where it's going to remodel and improve your heart. And it helps, with a lot of different things, not just with acne, like the oil production of it, but if there's any borderline PCOS or PCOS itself, it could help with just like hair loss as well, and on the scalp, and also excess hair growth on the face, all those things potentially. Unati is saying, bumping this, how painful is the treatment where you take out the tissue, and how does that process go? We put a bunch of numbing in there. It's not painful at all. Actually, you just feel like a little pop, which you don't, I should say, you just hear it, I should say. That little pop that we do is to take out that piece of scar. It's pretty therapeutic, actually. It probably feels pretty good because I just took like a decade-old scar for someone. In this case, she was in her, this patient is in her late 30s or 40s. And literally, I took it out, and it's pretty awesome because it's like something that she had from her teenage years. I just took that out. So it's not painful at all. And we could use like a punch biopsy tool to actually do that, or sometimes really small ones. Melissa's saying, I just upped my dosage to 100 milligrams from 50 milligrams about a week and a half again. How long is the purge? And it's not likely, it's not that you have to have a purge, to be honest with you. You don't have to have it. So some people don't. Things to do for purges, you could take zinc, like 50 milligrams of zinc. You could also take omega-3s. All those actually are helpful for you. And then also consider doing something where you do more moisturizing and a lot more sunblock. And just make sure you don't use like over exfoliants, really. Where did I do the excisions? It's hard to say on here because I can't really just point at each spot, and I'll have to double check just to make sure I don't misspeak. But it was really more for like that one that's kind of like in the middle part of the cheek. We took out one of those ones, and then there's it's tough for me to actually kind of point out here, but along like this mound, I took one or two of those there too. These are actually, these results are 1.5 years later for this patient. So this is a patient I just didn't see for a long time because she was actually all the way on the other side of the country. She was happy in life, and there wasn't really too much that she really needed to do again, but she just was like looking at it, and she's like, we reached out to her for the Subcision study to make sure she was doing well and things. So she's like, yeah, absolutely, we were. She was. She's like, why don't I come out over there? You take a look and see, and it looked awesome. So pretty cool. Really, really nice to be able to get that progress right there. Travel blog is saying, I've done everything. My scars are still very visible. I'll be happy to help you. It's a slow process for some people, but there's a lot of ways that we can improve this. There really are. Lavarto saying, my skin is like hers. That means we could do this. There's a ways of doing it. We got to make sure that we do it step by step and do this so we can get a very, very excellent result. In this case, there's a few things that we really had to do. It was not just the laser. It was really about taking out the scar, things like that. Growling Panther saying, I booked, but do I really need to enter card info after already paying? That's what it's saying. Yes, you should just follow along what it says. I haven't done that part right there myself, but that's really probably for something else for like locking it in or so. I'll double check with my team tomorrow there. Travel blog is saying, you were right. I went to Korea last year and the skin looked good for a while and scars are back. Yeah, I don't find that they're doing much with like manual type techniques. They don't do Subcision or really TCA Cross, things like that. In my mind, I'm not saying they're all like this, but a lot of them really are more for like tourists now. It's really like more like fast type of treatments, things that there's not much downtime to, things that they could be able just to do something for patients to make them feel a little bit better. And I'm not saying that they don't work, but like it's kind of fast, quick type of things, turnaround type of stuff, high volume type of places. And it's not necessarily going to be like the best for each individual scar. It's not like they're doing this full analysis for scars. Certainly for like pigmentation, things like that, I would say that they could do certain things. But when it comes to scars, there's a lot more work that needs to be done. Unati saying, should I wait until I have 5,000 to 7,000 to group treatments together or spread it out as I can afford it? Either option, it's better just to talk to me. We'll see what you really need to do. But the other thing is just remember that we do a lot of financing. We have cherry financing. Everybody's doing, really, really well with that. People, I used to hear about like, why don't we have more options and things like that. And we ended up just like opening the doors for like everything, for all these credit options. And so many people are choosing them. So feel free to do that. So feel free to go and take a look at Cherry or any of these other ones like Affirm or all the other ones that we do. Alphion we used to. All those could be options for you. Yavarto is saying, how soon after being off Accutane can I go see you? Well, even if you are on Accutane, I could do treatments a lot of times. It just depends on how thick your scars are, what we're doing, but I can do that. Ganesh is saying, hi, doctor. Will TCA Cross be good for ice pick scars? I heard sometimes it makes scars big. You know, it depends on who's doing it, to be honest with you. There's almost nobody, maybe there's one or two that I have to take a look at, but there's almost nobody that I know of in the world that does really TCA Cross that I would trust, really. You know, very, very few people do I see it like where it's like done at a very high level. And certainly in this country, I'm not sure, you know, to be honest with you. So I'm not sure where you're located, Ganesh, but I would say that I would be, you know, also hesitant a lot of times because just I see people, they're splashing it around. And they're actually proud of it. A lot of times you'll see their videos on there and they're saying this is good for boxcar scars, ice pick scars, and you're looking and it's like this big blob. And one of these people I saw, he was like showcasing it on like these videos, and I was scrolling and I saw it and I was like, he was talking about scars. I'm like, oh, that's cool. He's talking about like acne scars and how to treat acne scars. And then he showed like you're supposed to do TCA Cross for these ice pick scars. And it was like just like this like drip of like liquid everywhere on the face. So I don't know, you know, like I would not trust that either. You know, I'm not sure like why they think that that's like the way you're supposed to be doing. Of course, you're going to run into problems that way. So take a look and see how people are doing it. You know, watch the videos of how they're doing it, see how focused they are, see how careful they are when they're doing it. Lena is saying, what inspired you to specialize in acne scars? My own scars. That's what it is. It's simple. It's like I looked at my face all the time and I was just upset. And like when I would look at myself in the mirror and I was looking at it like, you know, I thought I looked good, but then I was looking at my skin and I was like, man, this is just like people are just looking at my skin. Probably weren't looking at my skin as much as I thought they were, but I just thought they were. And I was like trying treatments, and it probably wouldn't have been as upset if like the first treatments that I did like worked, but I did like Fraxels and microneedling, and I spent thousands of dollars on these treatments when I was like finishing up college, and I was still in college, so I didn't even have much money. And it was like really upsetting to me that like I had like this grid-matic face. I remember like it was just like really, really red and irritated, and it was like just like sandpaper. And it was like the first time I did it, I was like, wow, this is amazing. The first week later, this is totally worth it. And then it went down. And it was like, wow, that stinks. And then they told me just to like keep doing it. And I did like that whole package. And it was always like with this package. And it didn't work. And I was looking at this that, wow, what are they talking about here? They're saying that like, you know, they keep on lasering it, the scars are just going to rise. And it seemed like maybe that would help a little bit, but like it didn't help much at all for my skin. And I think that the way that they do it, because he said, well, you know, as a dermatologist, he was saying, well, you know, with your skin type, we can't go too much heat, but you just do six sessions of this, blah, blah, blah. And it didn't work, you know. And then I was like, let me go find a place that does volume, because I was looking at my skin. This is after college now. And I was looking at my skin and I was realizing that I probably had volume loss, really. I was like, maybe there's a lot of volume loss here. And this was now probably like 2005, 2006 or so, somewhere around that time now. And I'm looking at it like, maybe I should do some volume here. And so I went to somebody in Chicago, a plastic surgeon, for Sculptra, because I wanted something longer lasting. And I was like, you know, maybe Sculptra is a good option. And this guy had advertised Sculptra on his website. He was a plastic surgeon. And I went to his office and he was like telling me to do like hyaluronic acid filler and telling me to do under eye filler and telling me to do like Botox. And none of that was what I was there for. And my like scars were in my cheeks. So none of it made sense. Like, I don't know why I would be doing under eye filler and why I would be doing all this other stuff. And, you know, he wasn't even offering, you know, Sculptra. And he was like telling me not to do Sculptra. And it's like, so I realized that then there's like a whole disconnect in this world, and people are going through this whole process. And I kind of just assumed that maybe I just had bad luck. Maybe in Chicago, it just wasn't great. Maybe it's just like better elsewhere or things like that. And then I realized it really isn't. It's like, just like a lot of stuff is really, really behind in what we do. And there's a lot more stuff. I really wish they were more advanced. You know, I think there was a lot of room for them to be a lot more advanced a long, long time ago. But they chose not to. Like, you know, they chose not to because they were being pushed these devices, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars for their lasers and devices, and they didn't really want to do like these manual techniques that we had to do for this patient, like Subcision, Excision, TCA Cross. Those are things that actually work over and over and over again every single night. And, you know, the laser was important for this, but it wasn't the kind of laser way that they did it. So I looked at my skin and I was looking at like, how would I solve my scars? What would I do if I could solve my scars? And knowing that, you know, I could like fix the issue if I need to. And so I pushed it with a CO2 laser, things like that, to really see what we could do with it. And we got it. And it's like, there we go. You know, we were able to get there at a really, like, I was like looking at this, and you could see my skin in person. You could take a look and see, you know, and it's like, yes, there's a little bit of scarring, a little bit, but it is pretty good at this point now to be able to like feel really comfortable. And that's a really, really good feeling for me. So it's like, that's what got me. It was like, just, I became like vengeance to scars. Let's see here. Jay Ray, how's it going, Jay? I appreciate your practice, Dr. Qazi. Nothing feels pushed at all. Thank you so much. I mean, we don't do commission. We don't do any of that. So it's like my team just likes to help. Really, they just like care about this a lot. They really, really do. They want people just to feel better about their skin, about their lives, and they know people or themselves that also struggle, and almost everybody does, really. And and they're aware of it, and they feel bad for it, and they don't like the fact that there are people that are bullied for these skin conditions, and they want to fix that. Oh, I know. I found people that think like me. They recognize that stuff. They recognize the things that like are that were problems when they're growing up, and instead of like joining the problem and like becoming like a predator, they were like, I'm going to try to change that, and that's pretty cool. That's really cool. And that's what my team is. That's a really, really amazing feeling. So I do really appreciate that too. It's like sometimes you have people and like they do want to pick on people sometimes still. And it's like they go into this world to pick on people or to be predators. Faraz is saying, would they still care of all the scar types you have on the same treatment? I'm interesting the question, Faraz. Ernest is saying, have you treated stretch marks? My daughter has stretch marks in between her breast area. Yes, absolutely. You could do like a lighter laser, like the erbium laser works well for that. And then sometimes you could actually also do something like Radiesse, dilute Radiesse. All right, guys, I'm over my time for tonight. I got a lot of really, really cool cases tomorrow, so I'll talk to you a little bit about that tomorrow. I'll be back on. Hopefully the streaming was better today for everybody. People were saying there was a couple times it was slower last week. So hopefully we fixed some of that here. So, but I will see you again tomorrow. And if I missed your question, I saw some of those. I'll try to hit those again early